Welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice, as we are about to get into Group D to find out who are going to be our final 3 players moving on into the bracket. Welcome, thank you back to the analysis desk, as I do have to my right-hand side, Rotterdam and Maynard. Maynard, who's already knees deep in a series, which we'll check in with in just a moment's time. But let's talk about Group D as a whole, because we've settled Group C. That's all done, even though it came right down to the wire at the very end. Now let's talk about Group D. Dark, Showtime Innovation, uThermal, Gumiho, and Mana. That is quite the group.
The group of death, that's at least what everybody says, and I think it's hard to disagree with that one. It kind of already was before the open bracket was being played out, because the first 3 players in this bracket, or in this group, were Innovation, Dark, and Showtime.
Yes.
And I mean, it doesn't really matter who you add to those 3 names, then you already know that it's going to be one hell of a group. And obviously with uThermal, Gumiho, and Mana being added, I mean, it definitely didn't get any easier for anybody. I do still think there is a clear favorite, and that is the machine himself. But after that, I think it's going to be very hard to predict.
Because he is
Innovation.
Yes. So Maynard, overall, what do you think as well? Because it is a very, very stacked group.
I think you'll be hard-pressed to find someone that doesn't think that Innovation is going to be coming out first. The other 2 are kind of the ones that are in question for most people here. Gumiho's actually really on fire. Speaking of, speaking of dark horses here,
yeah,
Gumiho's against Dark right now.
Actually, we can take a look at your screen now, because that match is currently going on between Dark and Gumiho, and I believe Gumiho is 1 game up currently, correct?
That is correct, James. Scoreboard in the bottom there for you guys playing from home. So we see that it happened in game number 1. Gumiho went for Hellion, Speed, Banshee, making it happen. He did the big push, and he crushed Dark in game number 1. So game 2 is looking a lot closer. Dark's been doing a really good job. He's been doing nice little things like having Hydralisks on the ledge, getting the minerals from far away, and this is really going to go into the super late game, but Gumiho opting to mech again, obviously. So this is a really sick game. I wish I was casting this, but unfortunately, I'm just talking about it softly and quietly and calmly.
I was going to say, you're not allowed to cast anymore.
No, I'm not allowed to.
You're going to blow up the auditorium at this point.
Everyone's telling me to calm down.
Really?
like,
I would have liked to be in there the last game instead of casting it with Maynard, which was pretty damn cool, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, man, I'd be like to sit next to Maynard. No, I wish I was sitting in the audience, James.
Just listening to Maynard.
Listening.
You guys, you're making me blush.
No, you.
Luckily, there's a good makeup lady, so you don't see my rosy cheeks. You guys talk to me like this.
All right, so our first match that we're going to be starting things with is Mana going up against uThermal here on the main stage. 2 pretty, powerhouse level foreigners, but uThermal in the past year especially has really done a lot to prove himself compared to Mana, I would say.
Yep, no, I think most people look at this and say uThermal is the favorite, and obviously the crowd might not like to hear that very much, but I think uThermal is the favorite. Not saying it because I'm Dutch, he's just been more dominant, he's been posting better results. However, it is a team battle, and often team players know each other very well. That's where you get very weird meta. Team Liquid is always a very close team, they're very open. Like, these are not guys that say like, I'm not gonna truly tell my teammate what I'm weak against because I might play against him soon. That's not how these guys function, they're friends, they're in a very good environment with each other. So Mana obviously knows things about uThermal that perhaps he's the only Protoss that knows those things. At the same time, obviously uThermal also knows what Mana truly hates. So I think it's going to be a weird series. I would give uThermal a small edge, but it's very fun, and if either of these 2 guys wants to make it out of this very tough group, getting off a good start here is almost a must.
Well, I'm getting word now that we are ready to go down to the stage for our first series here of Group D. So, Smix, take it away.
Thank you very much, Claire's Rotterdam put that correctly. Our first match of the day for Group D will be a Liquid team kill. It'll be a Dutch Terran going up against a Polish Protoss player. Give it up for uThermal and Mana!
What's up, everybody? This is Tasteless and Todd, and we are about to go into this best of 3, casting Mana versus uThermal.
Yeah, not too long ago, actually, a little bit long ago. In 2015, late 2015, a tournament took place here in Poland That was WCS Season 3, and Mana, remember the epic tournament, took 2nd place after Lilbo.
That's
and
right.
It really felt like it was the fact that we're playing in Poland, the entire audience behind him that allowed him to play so well and make it so far in the tournament. And hopefully, I guess the Cinderella story can happen here once again. Even though he didn't win the tournament, it was just such a good showing. I really wish for him that he can have the same performance or the same kind of performance here in Katowice.
Big moment in his esports career, and he's about to have it again here, playing against uThermal with a lot of his fans watching and cheering for him. He strikes me as an individual who feeds off of that. You know, I feel like he's not somebody that necessarily gets nervous when you're playing, and all these people are rooting for you and hoping that you can win. I think that actually helps him.
Now here's the thing, Nation Wars wasn't too long ago, and Mana was very vocal about the troubles that he has against Terran. Now he's playing maybe the best European Terran in uThermal, so that does not bode well for him. So he's gonna need your support, guys.
That's right. And we are now in this game, guys, so let's get this started. This is game number 1, uThermal versus Mana. In the bottom right, in the red, give him your energy. He is Mana! And in the bottom left, in the blue, our Terran player, he is uThermal!
The new top Terran over in Europe, new top Terran on the block. Definitely came to rise in the previous 2 years, I would say. Started posting really good results. There was the DreamHack Leipzig, in which he took runner-up, and then finally successful over in Shanghai. When it was a funny time for him too, because he started considering himself as more of a streamer than a pro gamer, and I think it removed a lot of pressure off his shoulders, and that's when he really started playing up to his full potential, and ever since he's been such a strong contender in any tournament he enters.
Now, going into this game with Mana, I've actually known this guy for a long time because he used to be a very good Brood War player way back in the day, and I didn't realize, you know, how much older I was than him, so he started at a very young age. And he's always been good. He's always been somebody, you know, when you talk about top Polish players, you got to give a nod to Mana. But it seems like there are times when he's very inconsistent. And sometimes I just honestly don't know how the game's going to go. Sometimes he looks like a god, and then other times it can be a little bit bumpy.
I think it's a mindset thing. Like, he kind of allows himself sometimes to believe that he's a lot worse in a matchup than he actually is. And that kind of obviously doesn't play in his favor. If he's able to fix his mindset here against Terran, I mean, he's known for some time, right, about this group that's quite Terran heavy. Probably wasn't too happy about it, but he's had a little bit of time to think about it. I think he has a real chance of doing well, but it's going to take some serious mental fortitude and a lot of preparation, which I'm sure he has put in. Not just in terms of build order, but being able to tell yourself that you need to do all the right things the whole way, because you need to adapt a lot in some of these games. You need to react very quickly. Those Widowmine drops, they are no joke, and uThermal is a big fan of them.
Yeah, and uThermal is also a guy where I feel like he's not just like looking at what Koreans are doing and trying to copy it. He's had a lot of moments of great ingenuity throughout his StarCraft II career. And obviously he's very hungry to perform well and escape this group, which is a really tough group, by the way, to predict who's going to get out of. Even with these two players, I'm not really sure who the favorite is, especially when you consider how we saw Mana do last time we were in Krakow casting him. So we'll have to kind of explore this game further and the possible outcomes as it unfolds.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that you mentioned that, actually, because uThermal, he's been one of those guys that really played his own style and surprised people at times where nobody really was using that tank liberator and full marine style. He was one of the only few guys that made it very difficult to play against him. But now we're talking about teammates here. They didn't know they were going to be in the same group. They both qualified through the brackets. They had a bootcamp just before that in the Netherlands. And I'm sure they played a fair amount against each other, or at least talked strategy, saw each other play. So that makes it harder for uThermal to kind of surprise Mana because of that. I'm sure they're very familiar with one another, and the lack of familiarity when you play against somebody like uThermal is definitely one of the things that can give him an advantage at times. Nice Reaper actually sneaks in there here and looking to try and snipe some probes.
Yeah, good job there. Actually managed to kill one probe and interrupt some mining. Looks like, though, it's going to get zoned into this corner and picked off, so he won't be able to peek or poke with that any further. And to what you were saying, Todd, I think you're completely right. You know, Team Liquid is a team that is very transparent as far as the players are with how each other are looking at the games. And this is a tournament, by the way, where we started out with 76 players. So a lot of times you're not really expecting that one of the key moments of the entire tournament would necessarily be with one of the handful of teammates that you have. So there's probably going to be a lot of mind games going on here that we might not expect. They probably know a lot of the different patterns for where they tend to drop and why. And looks like we have that coming up here right now.
That pylon's a bit late down there. If we don't mind Sword to be dropped there, it might be tricky. If uThermal realizes that, yeah, he's going to realize that. I mean, uThermal is such a great player. He's like, your pylon's not ready, let me burrow that.
Looks like he actually manages to get 4 probes there. A big hit. The medevac now headed northbound, going to try to drop over here at the second base location. He does unload it. The Widowmine's going down, and 2 more kills, adding that up to 6 total.
This might actually trigger again before the Observer's out, even though it's about to come out there. War Prism. Mana was obviously, when you open Resonating Glaives like this, you want to go for aggression with the depths. You want to drop them, start killing SCVs, but right now, the only thing that has that is a ton of probes.
Yeah, he's continuing to lose probes. This one probe over here is going to have to be sacked. It's going to have to take one for the team, assuming it does, in fact, connect. Let's see, is it? Yes. Meanwhile, we have the War Prism out here, and what he's going to do is, because he's getting dropped, he wants to try to come in here and actually gun down a bunch of the Terran units in the base, but you can see that uThermal's positioning is just too good. 8 probes killed total, and Mana has not even been able to touch uThermal.
That's a massive number. Not only he killed 8 probes, he prevented mining for quite a bit of time. I don't know why Mana's being so stubborn. Maybe he thinks he's just so far behind that he has to make something happen, but if he keeps on going forward with his War Prism, he's going to lose it, and it's going to be a disaster. He needs to kind of take things slow here for a little bit, maybe take a 3rd base while taking to something, Colossus or Disruptor, which with the Robo Bay is going to be in the plans here.
I got to tell you, man, a game like this is a really bad feeling if you're Mana. You know, you already took a bunch of losses early on. He's even had the medevac for the time being right-clicked on top of the Warp Prism so that way he can monitor the movements of where that's going, making it that much easier for uThermal. Now, that being said, I think Mana is a player that can bounce back, that can restabilize, but so far, this best of 3, it's off to a very bad start for him.
Maybe Mana's lack of confidence in his PvT might force him to go for more attacks and play more aggressive. Usually, you know, especially if you're not confident in the later stages of the game, it's more tempting to do like 2 bases builds, or even if you take a 3rd Nexus, stay on a lower probe count and go for an attack. But by the look of things, Mana has gone up to quite a few probes already. It's 48. It looked like he wanted to start a 3rd Nexus, but instead he started a bunch of gateways. So maybe a 3 Colossus timing.
Yeah, I think he's going to go for a timing, which might not work out that well because he did lose so many probes, so he should have a little bit of momentum down here. He does come forward. Stim is triggered, but then he decides to back off. Meanwhile, Adepts in a counterattack over here, taking out 6 SCVs. But as the Marauders and the Widowmines get down there, the Warp Prism has to pick them up and back off. Looks like we could go into a little siege push here, hitting the Assimilator.
Yeah, that's really good, actually. Both players really making the most of what they had. Mana across the map, getting a bunch of SCVs, and then getting out with a Prism that is still alive and across the map. And uThermal, instead of moving up the ramp, losing everything to overcharges, he just goes for that Assimilator. That should be a cancel, unless... No, actually, no.
He's going for it. The Colossus is coming up. Now Colossus getting low. Colossus goes down. Meanwhile, the tank dies, but not until there's so many Marines doing so much damage over here. Bear in mind, there are still 2 medevacs in this game. He can pick that up, regroup, and possibly attack again. Todd, this is going very badly here for Mana.
I got a bad news. Mana hasn't fixed his PvT, and he's going to struggle a lot here in game number 1 against uThermal.
You can see right now the supply is so low in comparison when we're this early in the game, only about the 8-minute marker. The Colossus goes down. Is this the end? I do not know if Mana can recover in what has so far been a very lackluster performance. We see more Marines continuing to hit these Adepts. I think this game is starting to snowball. And there's, yeah, that's going to do it. GG.
Disappointing game for Mana here, I think. It was clear the Assimilator on his natural was going to die. I think the best thing he could have done is maybe keep those probes away from where the siege tanks could shoot. Maybe wait for one more round of warping and then go for it. He went for it too early and paid the high price for it by losing basically his entire army that was at the natural base. And solid game from uThermal though. Very, very solid.
Yeah, very nicely done. Let's hope that Mana can perform a little bit better here in game number 2. But before we go to that, let's check in with the analysis desk.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gents. Yeah, we have a few series going on right now at the desk, as we do have. Where should we check in first? Who wants to be checked in on first?
Give it to me, James.
All right, so we're going to check in with Rotterdam first, who has Showtime versus Innovation currently on laptop 2.
I am Innovation.
He is Innovation.
Let's take a look. You gotta be real fast because the machine is rolling, and he has one ticket to Rip City, I believe, because Showtime is in a lot of trouble. Game number 1 is currently being played on the Abyssal Reef. It took a little longer to get this series started because Innovation had a small hiccup with his computer. The irony, a machine having a small issue with a machine. But he's looking incredibly good here in game number 1. Guys, if we want to catch something, we pretty much gonna do it now because Showtime really doesn't have that many units left.
Never gonna see it.
This could very well be the end. No,
we're not gonna see it. We're not gonna see it.
No, I tried.
Like
anyway, Innovation is up 60 supply.
Yeah, he's doing very well in that video game. Okay, so next one, we do have Maynard, who is currently covering Dark versus Gumiho, I believe.
Yeah, I am. It's gone all the way to game 3. So Gumiho mech'd 2 games in a row. Worked out in game 1. Abyssal Reef didn't work out, actually.
Yeah.
Dark caught a lot of Gumiho's army out of position with a whole bunch of his Hydralisks and destroyed a whole bunch of his siege tanks. This game, actually, by the way, if you guys want to be able to watch it, is going down. Well, the final game will be going down on Crank's stream. It's a Korean stream, but you know you can still watch the games even if you don't understand Korean. And we're in game 3 right now on Proxima Station, and it looks like Gumiho has opened up for 2-1-1, but he's actually, instead of throwing in siege tanks or Widow Mines, he's gone for Cyclones, and he went for a bit of a push here, and it didn't really work out. I mean, I guess we're not going to see the game.
No,
but, I guess not. But you know, he's on 3 bases. He's pushing the creep with his first Medivacs, and as it stands, I mean, this is really not heaps worth talking about because we're not seeing the action go down. But the Hydras, the Zerglings and the Queens have pretty much batted away Gumiho, and it's back to 3 CC, and it's going to be a while.
Thank you very much, gents, as we shall head back now to the main game, as we did have Mana versus uThermal. But of course, at the same time, Innovation is currently 1 game up.
That's correct.
That is correct. All right, let's head over to the casters once again for Mana versus uThermal.
It's time to go into game number 2. This is Mana versus uThermal, a best of 3 as we are starting off Group D here at the Intel Extreme Masters. In the upper right, in the red, make some noise for Mana! In the bottom left, in the blue, our Terran player. Give it up for uThermal!
Lovely audience, making some noise for Mana's opponent as well.
Yeah. It's great to be down here in Poland and to be a part of an event this big. And with players like this, you got to be happy.
It's only going to get better.
It's only going to get better, guys. So, as we start this off, we have a probe go out very early, and it looks like that's actually now headed towards the center of the map. Meanwhile, uThermal still scouting around. Ooh.
Mana is doing the old school Mana with the double gas on one base and proxy targets. Is, I'm guessing, in the plans here. Usually when you do that, you kind of hope that Terran won't scout and won't see it coming. Then you have much more the effect of surprise coming into play, but uThermal's too good for that. Even though he's opening command center and, you know, standard, he sent an SCV across the map and he's going to fully scout this. Sees the double gas, full saturation, and immediately what goes on in your head, you're like, proxy target. You know that's
oh, yeah, for sure. I gotta say, I feel like this is a strategy that Mana has done before, and uThermal should be very familiar with it. So I already feel like this is off to a bad start here for Mana.
The thing is, though, I've seen this so many times. Terran scouts it, they are fully ready, they still die to it because of 1 or 2 mistakes here and there. uThermal, on paper, should be good enough not to die here to this.
Yeah, I think you're right. On paper, you would think that maybe they should be able to stop it, but the timing is so tight and it's such an aggressive rush that it's tricky. We also do have the Reaper headed northbound over here, making a beeline over to where Mana's main base is. The Oracle is being chrono boosted out.
That is really cool, actually. He saw that an Adept was made, he knew that his target was probably with an Oracle, so he's like, it's going to be hard for you to have much more units than that. I mean, there is a Mothership Core, but if he's able to get away... Oof, oh, actually, that was so close. If he had sneaked away here, maybe regenerated a little bit more hit points and went into the middle line, that would have been very annoying for Mana, but Mana gets rid of that nicely. And now it's going to be for the defense, for uThermal, who's getting turrets, Tasteless.
That's right.
Are you the turret guy?
Yes, I am, Todd. We have the Cyclone right underneath the Oracle. The Oracle has to back out, losing all of its shields in the process. The Adept zoned away from the ramp with the Marines in the bunker. So far, so good here for uThermal.
Yeah, solid hold for him. Mana just going to transition into second Nexus. He's going to get probes consistently behind this. And then we'll see, like usually you would want to go into a standard game fully expecting that whenever Terran's going to reach enough bio and medivacs, they're going to move to the middle of the map, kill that Stargates, get rid of the pylon that's there as well. And if you can keep that Oracle alive, it's very important. Actually, it takes quite a bit of damage. Or keep at least one of them, both of them ideally. You can keep on tagging the Terran army and the medivacs to know where they're going to drop, where they're going to attack. And if you can do that, well, you're going to be in position to defend, evolve further into the game. And that's what you want here on a map like this as Protoss.
One thing about double Oracles is they do so much damage in just one Oracle. It's kind of crazy how quickly things can spiral out of control, making it a very dangerous unit for Terran to engage in. And we see that now it's going to go into Phoenixes, so I assume he's probably going to be playing Phoenix Adept here for the time being. That's sort of the natural segue if the rush doesn't work. And in this case, it didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
uThermal spotted it, identified it, and blocked it out. So Mana is attempting to transition into a pretty standard game. Now keep in mind, if you're going to go for continuous Phoenixes, I don't know if he's going to do that, but if he is, the location of the Stargate is going to become problematic.
Ooh, he's trying to bait that Phoenix. Mana knows. Mana saw that burrow with his Adept at the Watchtower, and actually that should almost trigger a pullback from that Widowmine. Because there is Oracles and there is Phoenixes. He could actually reveal that and pick it up down the line. And
that's a really good point, Todd. Yeah, absolutely. That's something he should definitely be doing.
Twilight Council and Forge, so you were right. I'm guessing it's going to be Resonating Glaives, and +1 usually is what you wouldn't want to get for these Adepts to do enough damage to take out the bio.
And with a third base coming up here, you got to keep in mind, guys, Terran can't really leave their base for a little while because Adept Phoenix together can beat a small amount of basically anything. And of course, Terran's still building up to getting that big army. So you want to try to stay back. You want to play it safe. We do see the Cyclone coming out here now. Let's see if he can't possibly get this. He's going to come in here right now. He does come in here and actually take out that Widowmine. Excuse me, he does not. Okay, now he gets it.
You can get the Cyclone as well. This is really cool here. He gets the Widowmine, the Viking, and he's going to get the Cyclone. So uThermal overextended here quite a bit.
It was funny because I was just talking about it, saying that, you got to be careful if you're Terran, you come out on the map, because Phoenixes and Adepts, both of them are scary, especially with the Oracles there. So he's going to get this. This is actually pretty bad. This takes away a lot of momentum and options here from uThermal.
There you go. Tasteless dropping the knowledge bomb. Give us that analysis.
Bombs. I hope you guys are taking notes. We got more presence here for the Protoss in the middle of the map. uThermal's coming out again here with Marines. He really wants to gun down this pylon. Is he going to be able to do this?
Yeah, I don't think you can defend this just with air units here as Mana. There's the critical mass of Marines to deal with this air. A Stasis Ward would have been nice here. If he had trapped half of these Marines, he could have fought the other half, but instead going to be denying that third base from going up just yet.
But of course, if the Marines are over there trying to take out that Stargate, then they're not going to be over here able to help defend. So he does come in there, take out some Marines, and that command center being built on the low ground, or was being built on the low ground, was denied when that SCV was killed. 2 more Stargates on the way. What in the world is going on here in this game? Mana doing something that we basically never see. I think he's assuming. Here's what I think is happening. uThermal's assuming that the rest of the Phoenixes are probably going to be out of the game, and he actually wants to double down on Phoenix, as Mana does, in the hopes that uThermal might have a weird timing push, and suddenly everything is picked up. I mean, you need to pick up the Widowmines. If they are Liberators and you're going full Adept, you're in trouble, even if you had Stalkers. So I think he just wants to make sure there is the proper support for his Adepts to be able to get rid of the Terran force that he knows he's going to be hitting him soon and hitting him hard. All right, we have Adepts coming down right now. Stimulant coming forward. That should be a cancel, yeah. Forces the Widowmine to burrow. He's basically delaying the attack as much as possible. One big round of extra warp in here is going to be very important for him to have a better chance
to hold this. Let's see if he shades maybe 1 or 2 to trigger those Widow Mines.
He might. It's actually not a bad idea. It looks like he's going to stay back here. We are just a few inches away from the Nexus here. He scans again. Takes a little bit of damage on that mothership core. Mana needs to hang on. Mana needs to keep this expansion alive.
He's going to go for it here, maybe. Some Stasis Swords would have been nice, and actually a big drop going on in the natural base of mana there. uThermal with a nice supply lead right now. If he gets rid of that pylon, there's going to be no reinforcements here in that base.
That's a good point. It's not just the pylon cannon, but the fact of the matter is that, yeah, he has no other warp ins. We see the pickups there. Looks like there's a battle happening down here. Again, no shading in. The Nexus still with a lot of shields.
Oh, these Widow Mines are so threatening. Mana just doesn't dare to shade into those. He's finally going to go for it here. Spread out these units. Maybe some pickup on the Widow Mines at the last second. Yes!
Here we go! The Adepts have come forward right now. The Phoenixes are picking up, and Mana is chasing uThermal out.
Mana does hold for now, but as I always say, you need to look at the supply. He's still trying to catch up and come back here in this game.
We're never going to let you live that down, Todd. I'm sorry. It's too iconic for you. We have the Widow Mine over here still doing damage to those probes. He's going to send the Phoenixes back there, pick that up. But meanwhile, the Marines spill in while the Phoenixes aren't here to assist. A tag there to try to identify the mines. Will he go for it? Shades coming forward. 2 Liberators set up and in good position. Here we go. He actually manages to drive back some of these Marines, these Adepts right now, just on the low ground here, taking too much damage from the Liberators, and the Nexus disappears.
Just too much of everything here for uThermal. Just going on the aggression on that third base and crushing through, sniping the Nexus. Mana down to his last few forces. uThermal just too solid here in this game.
Yeah, he's just doing too much of a good job. He goes in there, kills a lot of those workers, and I don't believe that uThermal is going to stop here. I think he's going to keep crawling forward, hoping to take out all of these key structures as well as a Nexus in this location. Right now, Adepts just staying outside of Liberator range. The mines need to be shuffled forward just a little bit further. Mana has to stop this, or Mana could very well lose this game. You see right now, the Adepts are about to finish. No, excuse me. I think that might be it. There it is, GG. Short and sweet. uThermal 2-0 Mana.
Sad series for the Polish player, but he's still in it. Still got quite a few games to play. Maybe a class act and go and check his teammate's hand. Yeah, that was... I would say, like, if Mana had enough pylons on his third base, maybe having the mothership core there would have helped a lot, but then that means that your main and third natural base are very exposed because you don't know where the Terran's going to drop for a fact, right? And because of the way the game had gone down, he didn't have robo and observers, so he kind of had to be guessing. So he kept his mothership core around his natural and just didn't have enough on the third base.
We are going to go to a short break. When we come back, more StarCraft II action here at the Intel Extreme Masters.